So I decided I wanted to do one of these videos. I see all you guys, especially like these heavier old guys, and we're all talking about cold shit, and it takes me back because in January 1st, 2021, I was 350 pounds, and I did everything, man. I remember, I think that's when like Dave Asprey just put out Finally Fasting, or no, sorry. Dave Asprey had just put out Fast This Way. I don't know how I stumbled across it, maybe on like 4chan or something, and long story short, I, go down a rabbit hole. I have the January 1st resolution to lose weight. I was a size 46 pant, 4X or 3X shirt or hoodie, depending on the brand or whatever. And I started with like what I knew, which was like, okay, liquid calories gotta go out the window. I need to eat more meat. I need to cook my meals. The stopping at the gas station for breakfast to get pretzel dogs and hot dogs and sausages and packs of candy, Twix bars, all that stuff had to go, and I needed to eat food from my house. And then I stumble on the Dave Asprey stuff. I start YouTubing. I find Thomas DeLauer's stuff, but I was really big on the 4chan back then, and I found there was a snake diet general thread that guys were just doing these rolling fasts. And so I started experimenting, with the, can I go 12 hours, 16 hours? And I had a composition book and I wrote it all down. And I just started extending it. And then I found that thread, and it was talking about these guys doing rolling fasts. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm in, if an extended fast works, and there's like all that stuff that like 36 hours to 48 hours, your BMR is actually going up. So like, all of it was exciting, and I really got in and I bought in 100%. And I fucking followed all cool shit. I still got in one of my houses, me and a buddy own, bag of fucking potassium, pink Himalayan salt, food grade Epsom salt, and baking. I still have the same gigantic bag of baking soda now at me and my wife's house. And yeah, that first year, man, I was knocking them out. 48s. Never was able to do a 72. I was able to do 5 days. I was able to do later on 6 days, multiple 5 days, multiple 48-hour rolling fast, 48, 46, 46. Never could do a 72 for some reason. And yeah, and I lost 70, 80 pounds, maybe even more that first year. In 2022, I got stuck around 250 for a while. I was really struggling with my eating. It was getting harder and harder. The only thing that really saved me was that year I'd begun strength training, getting in cardio. I was a football guy in high school, but I was always so fat. I was always, even, so there was a period of time where I was homeless for a number of years, like full-blown crackhead, over 250 pounds, you know what I mean? Like for 4 years of homelessness, still like a size 42 waist, smoking crack, living under a bridge. And yeah, I really struggled with the fasting, man. So I started to modify, right? Like being consistent, being perseverant. Let's modify. How can we make this work? And I started getting more into strict diet programming and hypertrophy training, and pushing all that stuff as far as I could, thinking to myself, like, if I get enough muscle, like my hunger and my calories in and my calories out, they'll meet somewhere in the middle, and I'll be content. And that was not the case. What happened is I eventually, threw a ton of cardio, like we're talking about 20-30,000 steps every day. I got down to 230 and spent the entire next year yo-yoing. from 218 to 238, you know. I think that was the highest I ever went back again. But I spent literally 16 months doing that. And every week, you know, I'd get on that scale Friday morning after my cardio at the gym, crushing the weights all week, crushing the deficit, eating like 1,500 to 1,600 calories, 200 grams of protein plus, you know, eating all the fucking fake food and low calorie products and all of the shit, you know, legendary Pop-Tarts, carb counter tortillas. Not that I don't still have some of this stuff. I love the tortillas. But I mean, just like eating all of this shit, huge volumes of veggies and pickles and egg whites and egg beaters and all this shit that I wasn't really like satisfied with. And just to, you know, all of a sudden be 232 on a Monday morning again back at the gym. And this went on and on for so long. But I was so determined that I just kept going. And I was like, this week's going to be the week. And then Monday I'd get back on that scale and I'd be like, what the fuck did I do to myself? And I'd be like, this week's going to be the week. My wife, who then was just my buddy and soon to be fiance, we, off of like, I want to say it was Lent. We're both pretty strict Catholics. We're not like gay rad trads, but we're pretty strict Catholics. We decided to do a fast. I challenged her to do a fast with me because of Lent in 2023, I want to say. And I was really impressed. She knocked it out. She's very fit. She's definitely what you'd call like one of these lean mass hyper responders. But she knocked it out, you know, pushed through the headache and all that. And, you know, and I'm struggling, just abusing caffeine to get through it. And it became a routine where every Thursday for basically the next year, minus a couple holidays, and minus some vacation time we went on together, I did a 48-hour fast every week, ate in a deficit every week, counted calories every day, and would still fuck up my eating just enough to get back on that scale and go, what the fuck happened on a Monday morning? And I just didn't see this missing link that all the shit I was doing, while it might have been effective, like my metabolism was just dropping and dropping and dropping. So I'd cultivated so much discipline through 2021, 2022, and 2023. And in 2024, I'm like listening to the Anthony Chafee shit and, you know, all of it. Ken Berry, you know, Lily Kane. And I love a lot of these people. They're great. You know, I'm not going to trash them like Cole does. Some of the meat heavy guys, you know, like when I hear that sound bite you hear all the time on reels and TikTok videos of like Chafee going like, I really believe that that last 2% of going pure is what really makes the difference. It's not, you know what I mean? Like I did it, dude. I did that. I went pure as shit. You know, I had the $300 Costco bill of slamming, you know, New York strips, grass-fed butter, eggs, the yolk, Malden smoked sea salt, all that shit. And it was great. I mean, the food was amazing. I remember going from egg whites to going to that. I was so happy. And the weight actually did trend down, right? And I got to like 218, 220 being the high weight. So I was like down a good 10 pounds. And I go, you know what, man, if I take this, and I remember when Cole was doing the rolling fasts plus like the low carb, zero carb shit. And I combined the two. This is a model to lose weight, and because like Thomas DeLauer says, my basal metabolic rate is like preserved and actually even goes up a bit at 36 hours. So I started doing rolling like 36 to 42 hour fasts. This was last August. My wife and I had just come back from Italy. We weren't married yet. She met my family in Italy. And we came home, and I wanted to challenge her because we had so much vacation food. In June of that year, we had gone to New York, and then we go to Italy, and then she's with her family in the Outer Banks after that. And she's just like really amazing. You know, like I said, she's definitely someone we would call a lean mass hyper responder. She's so beautiful and fit without ever trying. Just being a physical person at work is all it takes for her. And she has a really tenacious attitude. She's like able to do whatever she puts her mind to. So I'm like, I'm going to do this carnivore thing with me. Let's do a 30-day hardcore challenge. Let's go real strict with it. And she pushes through all of the keto flu stuff like pretty quickly. Ignores all my advice about, you know, use electrolytes and you know, maybe even wean yourself off with extra carbs. She, you know, she integrates a little bit of that. You know, she starts getting a lot of carbs in from dairy and kind of flatlines out and feels good. And I'm doing hardcore carnivore with 2 and then eventually 3 40+ hour fasts every week. And I did that for like 8 weeks and got down to 197. You know, I started in 2021 at 350. And I'm not just throwing out like an arbitrary number. I remember being in the nude and stepping on a scale and seeing 350, you know. By September like 17th of it was like September 18th. It was an important day because that was my mom's birthday of 2024. I got on a scale at 197. And the only reason it was sustainable was, 1, I was crushing stimulants. I mean, all of the stuff, dude. You know, Alpha-Yo, Yohimbine, DMHA, DMAA that you could still get in pre-workout. The real stuff like crack gold for any of you pre-workout guys. And I was taking Lipodrine tablets regularly, like daily, like 2 doses broken up throughout the day, and combining it with energy drinks, like pre-canned ones. And I was doing all that stuff just to get through, you know, these fasts. And once again, what's happening, the piece I'm missing is that like my metabolism is plummeting. And the diet's only sustainable because every other day I get to have that binge meal with, you know, 3,000+ calories, which is how I wanted to eat every day. So as I come off the diet, not knowing really anything about reverse dieting, not really understanding just how fucked my metabolism is, I put weight on like pretty fast. And then like, you know, had to fight my ass off, super fucking dieting again all week. Suffering all week, eating bullshit food all week, just to get on the scale on a Monday morning and, you know, be 8 pounds heavier or whatever. I got married in November, and that like 2 weeks leading up to it, I was super duper strict, crushing the cardio, doing everything I could to really just like be as light as I was when I got measured for my suit, around like 197, 200 pounds. And that morning I remember getting on the scale at the gym before my wedding, because I did cardio so that I would like get on that scale lighter, and I was like 204, I want to say 206. And I went and had some food with some of my friends who were, you know, my guys for the wedding. I don't know any of the fucking terms. I think it's called my groom's party or something. And we had a nice big breakfast. I had some pastries from the bakery that I picked my food up at. Went on a honeymoon. Fully resigned to eat whatever the fuck I wanted, as much as I wanted, to the point of disgust. I was gonna have all the great Philly food that I wanted. And I came back and I was like 220 something. And I knew a portion of that would be water weight, and I fought to get clean again over the next 2 weeks or so after the honeymoon. And then Christmas came along, and flash forward to this past January, and this will be the last part because I know this is long. I got on the scale January 1st, 218, and I decided I was going to do something new. I was going to do like a strict bodybuilder style cut, macro counting, low carb, with incrementally dropping calories as the weeks went on. And I was like, for the first time, I'm going to do something new, which was I was going to lose weight over a period of time through eating food. And I got from 218, eating about 2,600 calories a day, 250, 300 grams of protein. I got down to 188 a couple weeks ago. And by the end, I was eating 1,300 calories, doing tons of protein-sparing modified fasts where I had no carbs and no fats. And I felt awful. And I was crushing literally, 5 energy drinks a day, counting my pre-workout. So like I would have like a massive pre-workout and then like maybe pop a lipodrine tablet, which was like, only 100 milligrams of caffeine, but loaded with all these other stims like DMHA and Araya and yohimbine. And then I'd have like a few Monsters and Coke, Diet Coke, Zeros, and all that stuff just to, starve all day to have this big meal of fucking chicken and kimchi. And I had a big reverse diet and plan that I was gonna like 100 calories at a time, titrate up. And I just like rapidly started putting weight on the minute I added even 150 calories. And it's like, how the fuck am I eating 1,500 calories and gaining so much weight so fast? It's not just water. Like, I know my body so well by this point that no one's gonna convince me otherwise. And so over the course of 2 weeks, I like put on 10 pounds and was so depressed just in my mind, visualizing 200 plus pounds coming again. And I'd been following Mark Bell's single digit body fat series this past cut while I was getting down in weight. And eventually, his path crosses with Cole again. And I remember years ago when he had Cole on Power Project, and it was great. And so I listened to it, and, I listened to all the stuff Mark's doing since then with the sugar diet. And I decided this week to just say, fuck it, let's run it, because I'm going to gain weight no matter what. I'm tired of starving myself, and something's wrong with my metabolism, that I'm 5'10", 190 plus pounds. I might not look it now, I'm like all deflated. It's been hours since the gym. I go at 3 a.m. But like when I'm pumped up, the veins are out. Like I have I have more muscle mass than the average person. I'm not on TRT or anything, but then for a 36-year-old man, I have a very nice physique. But I'm pudgy, I'm doughy, and my fucking BMR is, crazy. It's like, what are you telling me? I gotta eat fucking 1,600 calories is maintenance now, 1,800 calories to be 205 pounds? Like, what the fuck is wrong? And here's Cole talking about the sugar shit. And so, I come out of a weekend at 2:06 or something, this past Monday morning, loaded on carbs from the weekend. 206. Last week I was eating 1,800 calories. I had a huge cheat weekend of like 10K plus. I come out of the weekend 206 pounds, something like that, and I began to eat over 2,000 calories, going up each day like 2,200, 2,600. Yesterday I just had 2,900 calories. And I'm 199.2 or something this morning, and I already know what this shit's hitting for, that this trend can continue. I haven't even done a real sugar fast yet. I've just been doing like honey diet style, where I wake up, eat the fruit and honey, pre-workout, smash the gym, get to work, haven't needed any additional caffeine throughout the day, anytime I have like a little energy dip, I crush a couple kiwis or a fistful of dried craisins, and my steps went through the roof. They doubled back to like 20,000, like when I was fatter and more ambitious. My workouts have been amazing. I mean, I'm just like at this point, it's almost like I'm putting more weight on than when I was, heavier before this past cut. And I'm eating, just last night I ate 1,100 calories more than I did any day last week, and weighed less than I did any day last week. So like I already know what this is hitting for. I already know that there's something really special about this. And so it's going to be, fruit and sugar until dinner time after work. Dinner time, moderate protein meal, you know, maybe like 11 ounces of a lean ground beef or 16 ounces of chicken breast, 30 grams of fats controlled with just like coconut oil or fresh olive oil I get, green veggies, kimchi, pickles, end the night with like a Ninja Creamy or something that's like relatively low calorie, and you know, low starches. I think that's a good move. Like this past week I did 1 cup of rice with my meal, and I could very easily just like next week, for example, instead of the 1 cup of rice, I'm gonna do quesadillas with the carb counter tortillas, fat-free cheese, you know, 120, 130 grams of protein. And if I really feel like I need it, which I really don't right now, I might just throw in a double scoop whey shake with water. And I'm just going to keep tracking weight and calories, you know. And so this video is super long. I know you guys, you know, do it like latchkey and stuff. You guys kind of keep your videos tight. So I'm going to stop here. But yeah, I'm in the race for you guys, man. Good luck to everybody. Sugar diet rules.